Welcome, everyone. Today we are going to walk through the Federal Readiness Assessment, a step-by-step framework Neybor Consulting uses to evaluate whether a business is genuinely ready to pursue government contracts. Federal readiness is one of the most important assessments a business can complete before spending serious time, money, and energy chasing government work. A lot of companies assume they are ready because they have a good commercial business, a strong service, or industry experience. But federal readiness is more specific than general business readiness. By the end of this session, you will be able to evaluate whether a business is truly ready, identify the gaps, and know what needs to be fixed before pursuing opportunities aggressively. Before we dive into the steps, let's set expectations about why this matters. Federal buyers are not just buying a service, they are buying confidence in execution. If your company looks disorganized, unstable, or incomplete at the foundational level, that lack of confidence shows up immediately in registrations, capability statements, proposals, and market conversations. Federal readiness rests on 4 pillars: structure, systems, positioning, and discipline. We will evaluate all of them across 12 checkpoints, and we will score them honestly using a red, yellow, green scale. Skipping this step is expensive. We routinely see businesses waste 6 to 18 months chasing opportunities they cannot support, losing money on bids they cannot win, and even worse, winning contracts they cannot perform on. Let's make sure that is not you. Let's define exactly what we mean. Federal readiness is not the same thing as being a good commercial business. On the left, you see the language of commercial readiness: brand personality, broad value claims, informal networking, flexible scope, owner-led execution. Those things work in the private market. On the right is federal contracting readiness: structure, systems, positioning, and discipline. Specificity, scope clarity, performance confidence, intentional capture and agency targeting, documented processes, systems beyond one person's hustle, compliance-driven cash flow, and reporting. The key idea to hold on to: a strong commercial business does not automatically equal a federally ready one. Readiness is a separate measurable condition, and that is exactly what we are going to measure today. Here is the entire framework on one slide: 12 steps grouped into 5 zones. Foundation covers steps 1 and 2, the basic legitimacy and administrative setup of the business. Positioning covers steps 3 through 5, what you sell, who buys it, and the evidence that you can deliver it. Delivery covers steps 6 through 8, the money, operations, and compliance needed to actually perform on a contract. Strategy covers steps 9 through 11, how you pursue work, how you communicate, and how leadership shows up. And step 12 is where we score everything honestly. We are going to walk through each one with real examples and concrete questions you can ask of any business. Step 1 is the business foundation. Before anything else, we need to determine whether the business itself is stable enough to support federal work. The government is buying responsible contractors: legitimate, organized, capable of delivering. Ask 6 foundational questions. Is the business legally formed and in good standing? Does it have a valid EIN? Does it have a business bank account that is separate from personal finances? Does it have business insurance or the ability to obtain the right coverage quickly? Does it have a professional business address, phone number, website, and email domain? And does it have at least some operating history or evidence of successful delivery? If the answer is no, the company is not yet federally ready. That does not mean it can never pursue government contracts. It simply means the business foundation must be strengthened first. Step 2 is registration readiness. The next question is whether the company is administratively ready to be visible to government buyers and primes. At a minimum, the business must be prepared for SAM registration: legal business name aligned across records, EIN ready, physical address consistent, and banking information available for payment setup. But registration readiness is not just about opening SAM.gov and entering data. Does the business know its legal entity structure exactly as registered with the IRS? Does it have the right NAICS codes identified? Does it understand which certifications it may qualify for? Small business, woman-owned, veteran-owned, minority-owned, hub zone, or 8A? Does it have or is ready to obtain a unique entity identifier? Does it understand representations and certifications? Can someone manage annual renewals? Administrative readiness matters because if a company cannot manage basic registration and compliance requirements, it will struggle with invoicing, updates, reporting, and contract administration later. Step 3 is offer alignment. One of the biggest readiness mistakes is assuming that because a company sells something, the government automatically wants to buy it from them. Federal readiness requires alignment between what the business offers and what agencies actually buy. The test is whether the offer can be described in plain procurement language, mapped to NAICS codes, PSC codes, and likely agency use cases. Look at the example on the right. The top version is commercial messaging, creative, flexible, warm. It tells a federal buyer nothing. The bottom version names the service, the environments, the NAICS code, and the operational capability. That is federal language. If the company says, "We do many things," that is a warning sign. Readiness is about specificity, scope clarity, performance confidence, and mission relevance. Step 4 is market fit. Many businesses skip ahead emotionally. They want to chase contracts without validating demand. Federal readiness requires evidence that agencies actually buy what you sell in the regions you can serve, at contract sizes you can realistically handle. So we ask 7 diagnostic questions. Which agencies buy this most often? Are the purchases recurring? Are they set aside for small business or full and open? Do agencies buy directly or is the work subcontracted through primes? What contract sizes are typical? What locations are most active? What vehicles dominate? GSA, BPA, IDIC, simplified acquisitions. On the right is an illustrative demand signal for janitorial services. You can see VA and DoD dominate, GSA is middling, and NASA is thin. A company strong in hospital-style environments maps well to VA. A company focused on general office cleaning may find GSA more realistic. The readiness logic. A strong business in a market that doesn't buy your offer is not ready. A weak business in a strong market is also not ready. You need both, capability and demand. Step 5 is past performance strength. Many new contractors assume they need direct federal past performance before they can pursue work. That is not always true, but they do need usable past performance. Ask whether the company has successfully delivered similar work for commercial clients, state or local government, nonprofits, institutions, or as a subcontractor. Can it show scope, outcomes, contract value, timelines, and customer satisfaction? Does it have references who can speak to reliability and quality? Can that past work be translated into government-relevant language? Look at the 3 examples on this slide. A commercial cleaning firm servicing medical offices for 8 years is highly relevant to VA janitorial work. A general contractor doing deadline-driven tenant improvements translates directly into facility support. An IT services firm running help desk for a nonprofit maps to federal end-user IT. The readiness issue is not whether the company has federal logos yet. The real test is whether it has evidence of delivery that reduces perceived performance risk. If there is no solid past performance at all, the company should start with subcontracting, micro purchases, or local public sector work before pursuing larger prime opportunities. Step 6 is financial readiness, and this step is critical and often underestimated. Federal contracts can create real financial pressure. A company can win work and still fail because it lacks working capital, cash flow discipline, or financial controls. Look at the timeline. Day 0 is award. Congratulations, the clock has started. In weeks 1 and 2, you are mobilizing. Payroll, supplies, insurance, setup costs, all out of your pocket. In month 1, you are performing the work. Only in month 2 do you invoice, and realistically, payment arrives in month 3 or later, and only if everything is correct. So, the 3 financial readiness questions. Do you have working capital, the hindalas, a line of credit, reserves, or a funding strategy to bridge the gap? Do you price with discipline, including labor burden, overhead, compliance, travel, and contingency? And do you have bookkeeping that can do job costing, separate direct from indirect cost, and produce clean financial statements when required? A company that underprices work, mixes personal and business finances, or has no visibility into margins is not federally ready, even if it has strong technical capability. Step 7 is operational readiness, the delivery side. It is one thing to say you can do the work, it is another thing to actually mobilize, staff, supervise, document, and sustain performance under contract. There are 4 pillars: people, process, supervision, and scalability. Do you have enough people or trusted access to them? Do you have written quality control, escalation, scheduling, and communication processes? Do you have trained project managers so execution does not depend on the owner? Can you mobilize quickly, perform across multiple sites, and sustain performance if the contract grows? Look at the maturity ladder on the right. Level 1 is owner-led. Everything flows through one person. Level 2 adds a team, but the owner is still in the middle. Level 3 adds supervision. Project managers handle execution. Level 4 is documented systems, QA plans, multi-site operations. A lot of small businesses sit at level 1 or 2. That is normal. But federal readiness requires systems beyond one person's hustle. A business becomes more ready when it can show repeatable operations, not just effort. Step 8 is compliance readiness. Federal contracting comes with rules. Some are light at the beginning, some become much heavier as contract type, dollar value, or agency requirements grow. Part of readiness is knowing whether the company can operate in a compliance-driven environment. 8 realities you must be ready for. Read solicitations carefully, follow exact instructions, submit required forms completely and on time, document performance, maintain registrations, respond honestly to reps and certs, manage wage and subcontractor requirements, and invoice correctly with deliverables tracked. Many businesses lose before they are even evaluated because they miss documents, misunderstand instructions, or submit incomplete information. So when you assess readiness, do not just ask whether the company is good at the work. Ask whether it is disciplined enough for the process. Compliance is not about memorizing every FAR clause. It is about discipline, following rules, asking the right questions, and avoiding sloppy mistakes. Step 9 is sales and capture readiness. This is where federal readiness becomes strategic. Many companies think readiness ends with registration and a capability statement. It does not. To win, a business needs capture discipline. The ability to identify target agencies, prioritize opportunities, build relationships, and pursue contracts intentionally rather than randomly. Look at the capture funnel on the left. You start with the entire federal market, trillions of dollars. You narrow to 3 to 5 target agencies aligned to your offer. You focus on relevant vehicles, GSA, IDIQ, BPA, simplified acquisitions. You filter down to qualified opportunities, things that fit, things you can fund, things you can actually win, and at the bottom you have a small number of active pursuits where you concentrate real effort. Ask the diagnostic questions on the right. Does the company know its target agencies and fit sizes? Is the capability statement tailored to federal buyers? Is there a real sources sought process? Is there incumbent research? Is there a bid/no bid decision process? Federal readiness includes the ability to avoid wasting time. That means not bidding everything. It means choosing the right targets and building toward them. Step 10 is document readiness. At this point, evaluate whether the company's core documents support credibility. 5 document families matter: the capability statement, the company profile, past performance write-ups, resumes, and bios of key personnel, and pricing and certification documents. Does the capability statement clearly explain what the company does, differentiators, core competencies, NAICS codes, contact information, and relevant experience? Does it look professional? Are past performance examples written in outcomes-based language? Are there templates for responses, outreach, and basic proposal content? And here is the consistency test. Does your company look like the same business across every surface? SAM, Gov, your website, LinkedIn, your capability statement, and your email communication. Document readiness matters because even strong companies can look weak if their materials are vague, generic, cluttered, or inconsistent. Readiness means you communicate value professionally and repeatedly. Step 11 is leadership readiness. Ask whether leadership is mentally and strategically ready for the federal market. This matters because federal contracting often takes longer than new entrants expect. It requires patience, consistency, learning, and adaptation. 6 mindset traits to check: patience with long sales cycles, willingness to invest in systems before revenue arrives, consistency through rejections and silence, discipline to follow a strategy instead of chasing distractions, realism about timelines and win rates, and a learning mindset. Here is the behavioral truth. Sometimes the company has technical capability, but leadership lacks patience. In those cases, the business is not truly ready because it will abandon the process too early or pursue it inconsistently. Federal readiness is not just structural, it is behavioral. The market rewards companies that can stay in the game long enough to win, then execute well enough to earn the next one. Step 12 is where we score readiness honestly. Use a simple framework, red, yellow, green, across all 11 previous categories. Red means not ready. Major gaps exist that are likely to cause failure or wasted effort. The business should fix foundations before pursuing anything. Yellow means partially ready. Some foundations are in place, but specific gaps must close. The right strategy is limited, targeted pursuits, subcontracting, simplified acquisitions, local agency work, while closing the biggest constraints in parallel. Green means ready enough to begin disciplined pursuit while continuing to improve. That means agency targeting, sources sought responses, and focused proposal development. The sample scorecard at the bottom shows a realistic mix. Most businesses we assess end up mostly yellow with a few green and 1 or 2 red. The important thing is honesty. A weak assessment creates false confidence. A strong assessment creates a practical action plan. To bring this to life, let's look at an illustrative case study. A 7-year-old commercial cleaning and light maintenance firm, $1.8 million in revenue, 22 employees considering federal entry. On the left is the before picture. Foundation is green. They have been operating for 7 years, but registration is red. SAM not started, no UEI. Offer is red. They describe themselves as full-service facilities, which means nothing to a federal buyer. Market is yellow. They've never validated demand. Past performance is yellow because it's all commercial and undocumented. Financial is yellow. Operations is green. Compliance, capture, and documents are all red. Leadership is yellow. Enthusiastic but impatient. On the right is the picture 90 days later, after a focused Neybor readiness plan. SAM is live with UEI and rep certs. The offer is tightened to specific NAICS codes. 561720 for janitorial, 561210 for facilities support. They've targeted VA Mid-Atlantic region specifically. They have 5 past performance write-ups with references. They're operating from multi-site SOPs. They have 3 target agencies and an active watch list. Capability statement is live. Leadership has accepted a realistic 12-month pursuit plan. Financial and compliance are still yellow, working on line of credit, reading solicitations weekly, but everything else is green. That is what a disciplined readiness plan looks like. Let's name the pitfalls we see over and over. Number 1, we do many things. Pick a lane. Federal buyers reward specificity over breadth. Number 2, skipping market validation. Confirm agencies actually buy your offer before chasing. Number 3, treating SAM as a form. It is a compliance system and must be maintained actively. Number 4, winging the capability statement. Generic PDF signal an unready company. Number 5, undercapitalized pursuits. If you cannot fund mobilization, do not bid a large prime contract. Number 6, owner-dependent delivery. Build systems. The owner cannot personally be in every truck, every site, every client call. Fix these before you chase opportunities, not after. Let's synthesize everything into 5 key learnings. 1. Readiness does not equal good business. A strong commercial operation does not automatically translate to federal readiness. It is a separate, specific condition you must earn. 2. Both sides must match. You need a ready business and a practical federal market for your offer. Either one alone is not enough. 3. Specificity wins. The tighter your offer, the stronger your readiness. Breadth is commercial language. Specificity is federal language. 4. Behavior beats structure alone. Patience, discipline, and consistency decide whether your structural readiness actually produces contracts. 5. Honesty builds the plan. A brutally honest red, yellow, green score becomes your action plan. False confidence is the most expensive mistake in federal contracting. Here is what to do after the assessment. And the answer depends on your score. If your scorecard is mostly red, you are in build mode. Do not treat that as failure. Treat it as clarity. Formalize the entity, clean up your digital presence, establish your first SOPs, produce past performance write-ups, and revisit the assessment in 60 to 90 days. If you are mostly yellow, you are in focus mode. Complete SAM with accurate reps and certs. Tighten your offer to 1 to 3 NAICS codes. Build a capability statement tailored to one agency. Pursue subcontracting and simplified acquisition wins. Close the biggest 2 gaps in parallel. If you are mostly green, you are in execute mode. Set up agency positioning with 3 to 5 targets. Respond to sources sought consistently. Build relationships with OSDBUs and program offices. Qualify bids, run disciplined proposals. Measure your win rates and iterate. Remember, the businesses that win in federal contracting are not always the biggest or oldest. They are the most prepared, the most intentional, and the most operationally disciplined. So, if you want help assessing your company's federal readiness, building a real scorecard, and a step-by-step action plan to move from not ready to contract ready, book an appointment with Neybor Consulting today. We help businesses identify the real gaps, build the right systems, and position for government contracting success. Visit Neybor Consulting. Come to schedule your consultation. We'll work through the full readiness scorecard, map out your specific action plan, handle SAM, Gov setup and capability statement development, build your agency targeting strategy, and support capture and proposal development as you grow. Remember, federal readiness is not a buzzword. It is the bridge between wanting government contracts and being able to pursue them intelligently. Thank you.